Well, hey there, everybody. Rhonda Boyle here. I am a pro and evangelist member of the sword.com platform, and I'm excited to bring you new training and learning and exciting speakers and great content so that you can be more, do more, and have more in your business. Today, I have a special guest coming to us from California, Osro Hepworth. He is the founder of Osro Hepworth Coaching, and he works with people mostly in the alternative healthcare industry, helping them with their business practices and so forth. And let's see, where did I go here? I lost you there for a second. Yes, but what I did was I lost my place on my form here. So anyway, today we are going to talk about the challenges of growing a holistic alternative healthcare practice, because we know that there are some. You've got great skills. You're great at working with people, with energy, with all of the different modalities that you have and meeting their needs, but there's so much that's not working. And so Oz is here. Welcome. We're glad to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You bet. Yeah, because I know that you have 5 mistakes that you're going to talk about that really hurt us in our business. And so we look forward to your expertise, sir.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Rhonda, for having me, and thanks to everyone that's attending live, and thanks to those that will be watching it later on. Before we dive into it, I should let you know that I'm legally blind, so when we jump over to the slides, I actually will be going off camera because I have to have my face like 2 inches from the screen. So that's why you're just going to be seeing my photo. Beyond that, I am super excited to be here, and if you're ready and everyone else is ready, just type it in the chat so I know we're ready, and I can switch over to the slides.
We are ready to rock and roll, sir.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
So I'm working on sharing my screen.
Thank you, sir.
So let me know if you can see it, and I'll just dive right in.
I see that you have started right there, and we get to call you Oz.
Yes.
Good.
Cool. So again, my name is Osro Hepworth, but you can call me Oz. And if you are, as Rhonda said, an alternative healer, holistic healer, you're in the right place, because throughout my years of experience in that industry and doing other endeavors, I've come up with 5 things that really get in the way of alternative healers, holistic healers succeeding. And that's what I want to share with you today. And before I dive into that, I do want to tell you a little bit about myself so that we're not strangers. And with that said, let's go into it. So before we do, can you do me a favor? Please participate. Like when I ask questions, from what I remember speaking with Rhonda, she does engage with the chat. So please participate. A big part of learning is participation. And the more you participate, the more you're going to get out of this webinar. So to help you with that, if you agree to participate, type yes in the chat so you get familiar with the participation.
We are all in, sir.
Cool, cool. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 massive mistakes that essentially destroy your confidence, because that's what gets in the way of a lot of alternative healers succeeding. That's what my observation has been. And then I'm going to go into how you can conquer those mistakes. And a bit about myself. I hail from a small town in southern Utah near Bryce Canyon. Up there at the top left is my family. It's an eclectic mix of people. The person on the top left is my my stepfather. There I am in the middle, my mom and my 4 siblings. That was way back in the day. Some other fun facts. I love snickerdoodle cookies, especially the ones made by my youngest sister. She's the little one there in the middle. She's all grown up now. And I have a 108-degree black belt in coffee drinking. I enjoy drinking coffee. And why do I really understand the alternative wellness space? Because I spent 10 plus years as a massage therapist and yoga teacher. So I've worked with chiropractors, acupuncturists, Reiki masters, holistic healers. So that was my world for a long, long time. So
I have to add here, Oz, that you also were on a cruise ship for many years.
Yes. Yep.
What a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I graduated I received my massage certificate, and that was my first bodywork job, is working on the cruise ship.
Fun.
Yeah. And that weaves into this next one. So I did work on a cruise ship for 4 years. Up there at the top left is me in Cozumel with a bunch of my friends. And we got to travel the world. Very, very exciting.
Moved to LA. Look like you're working right there. I'm going to tell you.
Working hard at playing.
There you go.
It was a great experience because it's going from small town Utah to then traveling the world. It really broadened my horizons in regards to what's possible in the world, into the different cultures of the world. So the tall guy in the back, he's from Australia. He was my roommate. The two people in the top left are from South Africa. So I just had a nice exposure to the world in that environment. And that eventually brought me to LA. I fell in love with a dancer on the ship. She moved to LA and I was young and in love. So I'm like, I'm going to go to LA as well. So that's what brought me here. And then I started my own business in Los Angeles, massage and yoga. During that time, I really got into marketing, especially when it comes to promoting and marketing my business. And in doing so, I fell in love with business and in love with marketing because there was just something beautiful about being able to create something that inspires somebody to take action. So I did decide to go into business consulting for holistic healers, and this was in 2012. And what I kept coming up against was this objection of where did you go to school? What are your certifications, so on and so forth. So to address that, I decided I'm going to go to college, get my degree so that people can no longer question where my education is coming from. And I'll tie back into this later when it comes to the mistakes. But I went to Santa Monica College for 2 years, and now I'm finishing my last semester at Cal State LA with my degree in computer systems with an emphasis in business. Now, along the way, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I share this because this is, again, an important part to the mistakes that I'm going to be tying into. And along my journey, I got distracted by what I call shiny object syndrome. And if you can relate, definitely type it in the chat. I can relate. On my mission of holistic healing, wanting to help holistic healers, and then I get sidetracked by something called commodities trading or futures trading. And I thought it looked sexy. I thought it would make me look cool. And unfortunately, even though I intellectually knew the tactics and the strategies, emotionally, I wasn't ready to handle the ups and downs of the market. And I ended up losing tens of thousands of dollars over 18-month period. And eventually that led me to a really deep, dark depression. And it was from that place that I really paused and took a look at myself and said, what do you really want in life? Why are you going on to all these distractions when you know the holistic realm is really where and what you're all about? And also at that time, my relationship of 5 years was sort of deteriorating. So it was just this culmination of a huge financial failure and breaking up with my partner of 5 years. And due to that, it put me in a real dark place, all the way to the point where I had like a thought of suicide because I couldn't see myself getting out of it. And it was that moment that I like woke up and said, wow, things need to change because this isn't me. Right? Years of yoga and meditation taught me that the thoughts that you have are more a representation of the radio frequency that you're tapping into. And to tap into that sort of thought pattern, I realized I was in a really dark place. So to get myself out of it, I started the Make Positivity Louder Challenge, where I committed to myself to make a positivity video every single day for a full year. Wow. And that started on February 13th of 2017, and I succeeded immensely. I made a video every day, posted it to Instagram, and slowly but surely got myself out of that depression. And I ended up continuing to make the videos after the year because I had such a nice rhythm and it was such a fulfilling aspect to my life. And then I started to share that experience with others. So the picture on the top left is a moment whenever I'm in a space where there's a lot of high energy, a lot of cool people, I try to bring them into the video and actually have them share their positivity. And that's
Nice.
one of the key steps that brought me again to understanding these mistakes that I'm going to be sharing with you. Along the way of the positivity journey, I learned extreme ownership of all my circumstances. So doing a video every day, it was like journaling. So I got some perspective on myself, and I realized that a lot of the mistakes I made in life, I didn't own up to them. I was ashamed of them. I felt guilty of them. I tried to hide them from other people and myself. So I learned that in order to succeed and thrive in life, I need to take ownership for my behavior, my actions, my thoughts. And that's what led me to really become aware of these mistakes that I'm going to share with you that destroy your confidence. And the reason I say confidence is because in the holistic world, a lot of my colleagues and friends are very loving and heartfelt and kind individuals, yet they lack the self-confidence or the self-worth to actually share that gift with others. So they have these amazing talents where there's one Reiki session or one chiropractic session or one, I heard somebody say, emotional healing session, and it changes people's lives, but yet they don't openly share that ability with the world. And that can be attributed to self-doubt, lack of confidence, and other things that I'll be outlining.
Do you think that's very common, if I might ask, Oz, in the holistic health arena? Is that?
From what I observed, I would say yes. And some of it could be attributed to our cultures not really embracing it like they do, say, Western medicine, like an MD. And
Mm-hmm.
all an MD has to do is say, jump, and people say, oh, how high, and thank you so much, right? Whereas holistic healing is more of a collaboration. The person needs to really be involved in their own healing process, because the healer could be amazing, but if the client or the recipient isn't part of that process, they're not getting as much results, which then cascades into the holistic healer questioning their gifts, questioning their abilities.
When it has nothing to do with them,
Yeah.
It has to do with the recipient.
Yeah.
That they're either not ready or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this element of, because some of the healers I know do like angelic healing, and I'm using their words, like dimensional healing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I myself have a hard time like fully grasping it, even though I'm exposed to it. So I can only imagine how hard it is to explain to individuals what they do when it's somewhat intangible.
And like you said before, it's rather esoteric.
Yeah,
not a lot of people understand the language around it, and they don't think that way. And because they have a Western mindset, that Eastern thought of alternative healing just feels odd to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the issue is that I say we, meaning, it can be, Corinne says it can be difficult to explain what we do. Right. That's exactly right. And when you can't explain it to somebody else, then you start to lose confidence in yourself, I would think.
Yeah. And my personal experience in regards to stretching out into the business consulting realm, because I knew how to do it for my own business, my own practice, right? Here's how I grew my massage practice. Here's how I grew my yoga practice. But then to articulate that in a way that another individual could understand it and put it into practice, was challenging. And because I didn't get it right away, I then doubted my own ability, right? Because I had this mindset of, I'm good at this. I have my successful practice, so it should be easy. I should be an expert when it comes to transferring this knowledge to another individual. And because that didn't happen right away, I started to doubt myself. I started to question, am I really capable of doing this? And to address that, at the time, this was in 2012, I was like, okay, let me go back to school and get a piece of paper that validates that I know what I'm talking about. And since then, I've learned that that piece of paper is not necessary. Even though I'm like finishing up my degree now, along the way, I realized that all I needed to do was be honest with myself and say, oh, I'm a beginner at this business consulting. Let me gain skills, let me gain experience, let me practice. And then over time, it will become easier to articulate what I do to other individuals, and that will lead to more success. And that leads into the mistakes, which I'll get to. So another thing I learned was, and I'll share this towards the end, was the key system. So back to you and those participating. Again, are you ready to learn these mistakes and the 6-pillar system that's going to help you avoid them? Just let me know in the chat, let Rhonda know in the chat, and we'll dive into it. So the 5 mistakes that destroy your confidence. And again, the reason I say confidence is because it's like the underlying factor to your success. So mistake number 1 is having unrealistic expectations. Mistake number 2, harsh self-judgment.
Ugh. Okay. I'm already seeing myself fall over this, y'all.
Mistake number 3, fear of failure. Mistake number 4, low skill development. Mistake number 5, lack of experience. So these are the mistakes. And let's dive into them one at a time. Unrealistic expectations. So at its simplest level, unrealistic expectations are embodied by these 2 images. On the left, you have a picture of Cosmo, and on the other side, you have men's fitness. So we're constantly bombarded with, this is how we should look physically, right? So we have this unrealistic expectation that says, I need to look like this. So personally, I had an unrealistic expectation that because I'm successful at my own business, I will skillfully and eloquently transfer this knowledge over to other holistic healers, and they will easily say yes.
Well, we honestly wish that could be the case, don't we?
Yeah.
Just like unzip my brain and pour whatever you got in there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way, does it?
It does not. And then some other unrealistic expectations is, I am a good healer, so therefore I should be having a successful business, right? Or I've worked with this client successfully, so why aren't other clients working with me successfully? So having this unrealistic expectation in your mind sets you up for failure. Does that make sense?
Got it.
So it would be helpful if in the chat people sort of shared some of their unrealistic expectations. And
yeah, we have, Corinne says that she feels that fear of success is more difficult for her. She's not afraid to fail.
Yep.
So she's not afraid of that. For me, it's unrealistic expectations, just like you're suggesting, and harsh self-judgment.
Yeah.
That's where my maximizer likes to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a maximizer too. And I was sort of contemplating this perspective through the strengths lens, and I can see how a lot of my strengths were trying to be fulfilled in other ways. So, for example, significance is my number 1 strength, and I was trying to be significant by being a commodities trader. I was trying to be significant by being a business coach without taking a step back and adjusting my expectations accordingly. in approaching it from a beginner's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So this mistake really harms other healers when they're really, really good at what they do, right? If like a Reiki person can come to you and like do their magic and you feel 100% better, the person doesn't really see you do anything, but the Reiki master knows how much went into that healing process. So they expect, maybe it's conscious or unconscious, the person to appreciate it just as much as they do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another way you can adjust your perspective on that. Mistake number 2 is, let me see if I can get to it.
This is my favorite. The one I love to do the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is right there.
So yeah, I am guilty of that as well. And here is a great dialogue. I'm going to have to read it. Or maybe you could read it, Rhonda, just because your eyes are better.
Oz, you suck. You're so stupid. I can't believe you did that. Oh, you're right. I do. I am stupid. I am a total failure.
Yeah.
It's a little more, it's quite a bit more subtle than that, I think.
Yeah, this is an extreme example,
yes,
right?
Of course. But that is us talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Self-talk.
And it compounds in so many ways. At school, I'm in a double honors program, so I'm amongst a lot of other high achievers, and I see it in them as well. They can get straight A's, so taking 6 classes, get 6 A's, and yet beat themselves up because on one little quiz that was worth 5 points, they only got 98%.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Like, that's devastating. Like, when we see it in other people, we support them, we have empathy for them, we have compassion for them. However, how often do we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, be kind to yourself, treat yourself nicely? Like,
yeah, who's done that lately?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. And what reminds me of this is when I was really harsh on myself, especially during that time when I lost all that money and was failing at life and in this dark depression, I was like, I would rarely, if ever, speak to my friends this way. So
some of the things we say to ourselves, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You would not talk to a dog that way, nor would you let anybody else talk to a dog that way.
Yeah.
So let's see. Tina says she definitely needs improvement with self-judgment. And Dave, welcome. I didn't see you before, but good to have you here. He says his past self cannot leave it, meaning past mistakes in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. And this one really got in the way of me overcoming a lot of failures, because what I've noticed is, like you said, Rhonda, is we beat ourselves up way more than we would let anyone else treat us, because we know all of our mistakes. We know all of our dark secrets. We know all of our shame. So there's so much ammo that part of our consciousness has access to fire upon us.
Oh my gosh. Think about how much ammunition you've got stored up.
Yeah.
And you just keep bringing it out.
Yeah. And this is one of the biggest reasons I really want to help holistic healers, alternative wellness healers, is because they have the capacity and the ability to help people let go of that stuff, let go of that nonsense.
Yeah. Corinne, for example, is an energy healer. She's a emotion code practitioner. I'm not sure what else, Corinne, but she needs to be out there helping people.
Yeah.
So isn't that interesting how we have an ability to help others that we cannot seem to use for ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah, I've contemplated this, and I was reading a book called The Prosperous Coach. And somewhere in there he says that as a coach, you can only take your clients as deep as you've taken yourself. So this is why some sort of self-practice is just as important. As a coach, I have a coach because it's just as important for me to have somebody helping me go deeper and deeper. And by reflecting some of these negative self-judgments aloud, the coach can see it and say, that's not true.
Right.
right? Or
Coaches need coaching. I say that often.
Yeah. Or you can even see it and be like, wow, that was so absurd. I need to let that go.
I think the worst part about self-talk is when you don't hear it.
Yeah, agreed.
You feel it, but you're not conscious of the words that you're actually saying to yourself.
Yeah, it's so subtle, as you said. So from self-judgment comes fear of failure, right? Or criticism. So failure can come in many different forms, and fear of failure and criticism from others tends to stop us the most. Unfortunately, fear is not practical in today's day and age, and we tend to think the worst case scenario. So fear to be criticized by others. Again, this is where I think holistic healers have an extra hard time, because a lot of what they do is esoteric, as you said. So there's not a lot of anchor points to anchor what they do to. So they're sort of creating a new paradigm in our culture. They're creating new mindsets in our culture. So when they explain what they do, maybe there's this subtle fear that people will judge them, people will criticize them. And somebody said fear of success, right? Ooh, if I succeed, people will judge me. People will criticize me. I'm supposed to be a heart-centered healer, and heart-centered healers aren't out there creating these corporations that are harming other people, right? Heart-centered people help the planet. They contribute to nonprofits. However, that is stifling your own success. And it's preventing you from being a good example to the people you're trying to help. And then fear is not practical. Yeah, I love the acronym false expectation appearing real. So whenever I start to fear something, I remind myself, is this a false expectation that's appearing real? Right? I expect that if I succeed, these bad things will happen. Right? So it's an expectation that's appearing to be real, so we fear it. And this is not our fault. We, as humans, we evolved and we're here now on the planet because fear served us at one point.
Running away from those tigers, you know, and dinosaurs.
Yeah. Depending on your belief system, there was definitely some there's some
predator somewhere.
There.
That's right.
So we developed this fear mechanism so that we can survive. And in today's day and age, it just is not practical. Like the concrete jungle in LA, the worst thing I have to fear is that somebody won't see me crossing the street because they're not used to pedestrians. That's maybe the biggest fear I have. Every other fear is mostly mental, right? And a lot of research has shown that when we experience an emotional pain, it's almost equal to or worse than a physical pain. So that's, again, why the fear mechanism is so prominent and sticks around with us. But if you can be aware of it, you can take a breath and let it reset.
You have to be aware of it. That's the secret.
Yeah.
Most of the time we go into this fight or flight without knowing we're there. Like we're in it before we recognize that we're there.
Yeah. And before I go into this low skill, that's where I've learned for myself, meditation or mindfulness practice is key, because it helps keep your consciousness more in the frontal lobe, like the executive part of your brain, and it helps keep the primal brain tempered down. So it may activate and says, oh my gosh, this scary thing's coming, but because your executive functions are highly tuned and you give them a lot of attention, the primal brain doesn't have the opportunity to get in the driver's seat. So you still acknowledge it, right? But then you're like, I acknowledge you, I hear you, we're gonna keep moving forward. So, and fear of failure ties into this one, low skill development. A lot of the times in my own life, I've started something and then quit. And if you can relate, let us know.
Yes, I can relate.
Yeah.
That's my maximizer again. I'm not dealing with mediocrity.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Yeah, because again, I have Maximizer, so I never thought about it that way.
Yep. Well, that's that very harsh self-judgment and holds such a ridiculously high standard that nobody can meet it.
Mm.
You know, that's the issue sometimes with us. If we're living in the outhouse, I call that.
Yeah, interesting. And I have competition as my number 2, so that's also part of it. Is if I'm a beginner, it means I'm not like beating everyone.
Winning. Right.
So I'm like, dang it. However, this is a mistake, like keeping your skill development low.
Or letting that stop you.
Yes. Yeah. Not approaching it from the right mindset. And some things that help put it into perspective are, again, adjusting your expectations. So if you wanted to be a world-class chef, it would be unrealistic. It would be an unrealistic expectation that you buy a cutting board, you buy a knife, and within the first day, you're a master chef. You can chop up onions and all this stuff, no problem. Same goes for dancing. You take a few tango classes or salsa classes, and because you're not an expert right away, you stop. So you always keep your skill level low. And that prevents you from actually believing in yourself, having confidence in yourself. And with holistic healers and alternative healers, I think this is where the business part comes in, is they keep their business development skills low for whatever reason. Some reasons that I've heard and seen are business is bad, marketing is bad, I don't want to sell to people, or numerous justifications to keep their business development skills low.
And I would say that you're right on when it comes to I hate to sell. Mm-hmm. That would be a big one.
Yeah.
For a holistic healer.
Yeah. Yeah. To that, a book
because
that
that's not a normal, that's not where they want to live.
Yeah. And for me, that's more what helped me sort of shift that is more a paradigm shift, sort of. So I have a cup of coffee here. So looking at it from this perspective, sometimes all it takes is a little rotation, and it's the same cup, but you're just seeing it at a different angle. And sales can be like that as well. And I found a book by Daniel Pink, To Sell is Human, is a good book for helping with that. And his overall thesis is that everyone is in sales. A doctor is in sales, a personal trainer is in sales, a parent is in sales, a teacher is in sales. Yes. And he means that the teacher has to get the student to buy into the idea that learning math is good, that reading this book is good. The parent has to sell to the student that it's valuable to eat your vegetables and go to bed on time. The trainer has to sell to the individual that this small pain that you're feeling while working out is good for you in the long run, right? And the alternative healers doing this healing modality that you might not be familiar with, that there might not be a lot of scientific empirical evidence against, may be awkward for you. However, it's going to help you in the long run. So developing your skill to just have that conversation is important. Yeah.
And there's lots of skills that you need in order to run a practice.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where, again, I'll just use myself for example, is I had the unrealistic expectation that because I'm good at this skill, my healing practice, massage and yoga, I will be good at the business consulting part. And I failed to realize that some of the skills are transferable, but a lot of the skills are new and fresh. And I need to put time and energy into developing them and be willing to go through the discomfort of being a beginner. And I also realized this when I was having a walk, that I refer to having pain, like mental pain. When we're learning a new skill, there's subtle shifts in your brain where you're creating new neurological patterns. And I realized that maybe that subtle pain prevents us from moving forward, just like working out, because working out doesn't always feel good. It can be painful for your body, but you still do it. So learning a new skill can be painful for your brain, but you just push through it.
Yeah, oftentimes we'll quit.
Yeah.
And then guess what we do? We complain.
Complain, judge ourselves, right?
That's right. And then
I'm
we go
such a
through that whole
quitter.
big cycle.
Yep.
Oh,
And
for
then
sure.
the last mistake, lack of experience. So a great example of experience is in martial arts, karate, jiu-jitsu, whatever it might be. When you begin, you're a white belt. And when you gain experience, along with the skills that you learn, you need experience to level up to a black belt, because some people are really talented and natural at what they do. Like I would say I was a natural massage therapist. It came easily to me. I didn't have to spend a lot of time developing the skill. However, the years of experience is what allowed me to really be able to meet a person for the first time, have a little conversation, and then once they're lying on the table and my hands were placed on their body, I had this intuitive sense of what their body needed, what muscles needed to be worked out, what level of pressure, without really needing to communicate to them. And also with my own physical limitation, with my vision, I've had to develop other experiences that help me still communicate and engage with the world without relying on my eyes. And that took time and experience.
That's
And I think
amazing.
people need to give themselves a little bit of space, and they need to give themselves permission to be a beginner, to be a white belt.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're starting your business, realize, oh, I'm a white belt in my business, right? I may be good at my craft. However, when it comes to the business development, the marketing, the sales, I'm still a white belt. So I need to practice. I need to get experience. And the skills and the experience go hand in hand.
You know, Oz, I was just thinking about at the very beginning when you were talking about how unrealistic expectations come, I think that oftentimes it comes from what we expect after we get out of some kind of training, you know, before we actually practice the thing that we're learning, like because we know it in our heads and we've passed a certification, then we put that expectation on ourselves that demands we be expert at it. When that's really getting your certification in whatever your holistic healing modality is, that's really the beginning.
Yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can see how these compound on each other. And the skill development in our culture, a lot of it's intellectual. We went to a course, we read a book, so on and so forth. And then we expect that we're going to be an expert. And this is where I'm guilty of this. This is where I made the mistake with the commodities trading that caused me to lose tens of thousands of dollars, is that I took a few courses, I intellectually knew the steps and the rules and all these things. However, I didn't have the experience, because then it's like studying karate in a book and then stepping onto the mat and thinking, oh, I'm going to win against this black belt. And it's like, of course, like, why would I, right? I know it, but I need to put it into practice.
That must have stung your competition there for a while.
Oh yeah. It dug deep.
When you know that you're practicing, you're not competing.
Yeah.
So that's how you get around it.
And that sort of ties in with how I got out of that depression with the 365-day challenge. And this is just coming to me now, that I set this goal for myself, this marker that I'm going to make the videos every day for 365 days. So it helped fuel my competition for myself. So I positioned it in a way that was a healthy relationship in regards to pushing myself and supporting myself. Mm-hmm. So these are the expectations, or excuse me, the mistakes. And let me go over them again and tie a bow on them. So unrealistic expectations, again, it's sort of setting yourself up for failure. And because you fear failure, you tend to set the bar low. So if you want to have a successful practice, that means your bar has to be set high. But if you're fearing failure, you're going to set the expectation low, and therefore you won't be disappointed. Low skill development and lack of skills, those go hand in hand with each other. And these 5 mistakes really, as you said earlier, Rhonda, are like a cycle. They fuel one another, they feed one another, and they end up putting people in this position where they have this huge passion, this huge talent, but they're failing, they're not thriving in life. And to address that, I created the system. But before we dive into that, is there any questions?
No, I don't think so. I think we need the answers. You've got them.
So let's talk about how to avoid these things. So reminder, my journey back from my failures is, first, I forgave myself and I accepted them. I took, as I said earlier, I took extreme ownership of my shortcomings, my failures. And in doing so, I learned about the 5 destroyers of confidence, which prevent you from succeeding. And then I developed this system because just like any practice, if you have a system to follow, you're going to gain the experience and the skills necessary to succeed. And I call this my ultimate confidence formula, the 6-pillar system. And it starts with your purpose of confidence is pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is consistency and persistence. Number 3 is it's not personal. 4 is abundant self-worth. 5 is stretching your comfort zone. And 6 is the art of celebration. So let's dive into these, and I'll do my best to weave in how they help you address the mistakes. So pillar number 1, purpose of confidence. The reason you need to start with this one is because you need to be tapped into and clear about your purpose. Simon Sinek calls it your big why. And this is helpful because when you're tapped into your purpose and somebody asks you, what do you do? Instead of saying, I channel energy from the 5th dimension and I work with angels, which is true. However, your purpose is that I help individuals heal things that they might not be aware of, or I help individuals tap into the core of who and what they're about. And that is a lot easier to comprehend, a lot easier to grasp, as opposed to I'm channeling 5th dimensional energy.
Right, which I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's where what I hear you saying here is that it will increase your confidence by speaking what you do in the language of the person you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Corinne says she assists people to release trapped emotions.
Nice. There we go. And some other purposes for confidence. You could want to surround yourself with a community. You could want to have a deep, meaningful relationship, or you just want to succeed. And I was able to look closely at my slide here. Imagine that I was able to snap my fingers and Rhonda, you have all the confidence in the world, right? You don't doubt, you don't judge, none of that. Now imagine that everything stayed the same. Status quo, default future.
Now imagine that everything stayed the same, but you just changed it. Did you? You snapped your fingers and everything's changed?
Yeah, so I'll do it again. So imagine I can snap my fingers, magic wand, genie in a bottle, and you have all the confidence in the world. You are 100% confident.
Okay.
In your heart, in your actions. Now imagine that nothing in your life changes. Everything stays the same. Everything's status quo. You still have the default future. That's what it's like to not have a purpose with your confidence. Because everyone on the webinar and everyone watching the recording, you have all you need right now. It's there, right? But if it's not tapped into the purpose, it doesn't fuel you. It doesn't take you anywhere.
Got it.
So you can know all the mistakes. This is, again, having the intellectual knowledge, the skill, the certificate. But if you're not pointing it in a direction, it's hard to thrive and succeed. So that's why this pillar is so important. In this pillar, we distinguish between values and goals. And I have exercises that help people do that. Next pillar is persistence and consistency. And this is really, really what I acquired for myself with the Make Positivity Ladder Challenge. Making over 550 videos every single day for a year is consistent. And the persistency comes in when it comes to grit and determination, because you can imagine through those 500 plus days, there were days where I really did not feel like being positive, right? There were days when I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. What's the point? So on and so forth. And that's where the persistency comes in. And when you're persistent and consistent, you develop your skills, you gain experience. You don't feel failure because you're going to continue moving forward. You're kind to yourself because you give yourself permission to take it one step at a time. And you've negated any unrealistic expectation because you're going to do it every single day. And imagine that you're trying to climb this staircase on the right here. What would be some of the self-judgment that would come up for you, Rhonda, if you were at the bottom?
It looks awfully high. It's too far. It's too hard.
Yep. What else?
I don't know. I mean, isn't that bad enough?
Yeah. So, and then what if I was standing next to you and I just ran up those stairs? Boom.
Yeah, you'd win.
Yeah.
You would win. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is, again, I'll try and keep it objective for myself. So if I'm standing next to you, I need to keep into perspective, what is my current physical health?
Yeah.
Right? And have I ever done this before? And then just take it one step at a time. And then if I see you run up the stair, I need to realize, oh, maybe she's a triathlete and she's done this staircase 100 times.
Yeah.
She's a black belt. So I need to be gentle with myself and take it one step at a time. And then if I'm halfway up and I trip and fall, do I throw myself down the stairs and say I'm a failure and I don't deserve to get to the top? Or do I pick myself up, dust myself off, and keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is where the persistency and consistency helps really negate the 5 mistakes. Because even if you feel fear failure, like I might not make it to the top, you still just take that one step at a time. Mm-hmm. I could have told myself, Oz, you are crazy to try and make a video every day for a whole year. But in my mind, it was never that. It was just one day at a time.
Right. You never looked at it as 551 days. You looked at it as, I'm going to do one tomorrow.
Yeah. One today.
I'm going to do one today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that allowed me to get wins on the table, right? Get wins. And as a holistic healer, alternative healer, let me help that one person. Let me give that one person an experience of my healing. And they don't need to know the details of how it was done. They just need the experience. Mm-hmm. So this is where this is important to succeeding in your practice and any endeavor is to be consistent and persistent. Pillar number 3, it's not personal. I really like this one for myself. So along with the internal self-judgment, there's a lot of external self-judgment, right? Like, what do you mean you help people with their emotional traumas? I don't have any emotional traumas. Or what do you mean you're trying to succeed? You should stay in your job that you hate, right? What do you mean you want to end this relationship? You've been together for a long time, you know? And what would be some other judgments people have heard from the world?
I think probably not understanding what you do, and it probably feels frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not that I think that sometimes it's, as we've established earlier, it's hard to explain what we do. Like
Mm-hmm.
you use the angel, dimensional, whatever. And so that's when somebody would shut down instead of trying to find another way to explain it.
Yeah.
Hmm. They would take that personally. Like, I can't explain what I do.
Yeah.
So,
And what I observed, especially during the challenge, is some individuals would say, "Why are you doing this? What's the point?
hmm.
Being positive all the time is impossible. You would be way more successful at this if you did a negativity challenge," so on and so forth. And I realized that as you sort of step into your purpose, you step into your power, your uniqueness, or as Marianne Williamson says, as you let your own light shine, some people are inspired by it and other individuals are intimidated by it. Other individuals actually experience pain because of it, because they've been in a cave for so long and that light is hurting their eyes. So in order to avoid that pain, they will judge and criticize you,
Hmm.
right? And I've noticed that it gets in the way of a lot of people that are trying to do like an alternative lifestyle from fully embracing it, because currently in our culture, at least across the wider US, it doesn't really support alternative wellness as much as it does in, say, Los Angeles, where
Right.
you can get green juice on the corner and then go do a yoga class and then get an acupuncture session all within a block.
Right. Yeah, we don't find that here in Oklahoma, do we, Tina?
So realizing that if somebody tells you, "No, thank you, I don't need your healing," even if you have like this intuition and this foresight that you can see where the energy is blocked in their body, and you know that if they just let you help them, you could clear away that emotional block like that.
Hmm.
Even if you have that ability, you need to honor where they're at and not take it personal.
Right, right. Tina is saying that it's not personal, but she can relate. Is that what you're saying, Tina? You can relate to getting no response from people when you're asking for input, like on your Facebook page or your YouTube video or something. Yeah, it is. It's like, wow, they can't invest. It feels like they're not valuing what you do,
Yeah.
when that's not it at all. They're not seeing. And here's the other thing is, so what if they don't value what you do?
Yeah.
Sew buttons.
Yeah.
Right.
And it could be that they don't value themselves enough to invest in themselves. I see it a lot with like mothers of children, and even with my own mom, who we're all grown now,
Mm-hmm.
but she still has this block or this internal resistance in investing in herself, asking herself, what does she really want in life?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I do these things, if I give it to myself, I'm going to be taken away from others, or I don't deserve it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the judgment, self-judgment comes in. I'm a failure, I'm a bad person, I am blah, blah, blah. So therefore, I don't deserve this healing,
Right.
right? So again, if they have that internal dialogue, it's not personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
So in this pillar, I help people address like some of these things that have been blocking them. And pillar number 4 is abundant self-worth. So it's like the yin to the yang of that last one. Abundant self-worth is essentially loving yourself, being kind to yourself.
Yeah, this one is the one we need probably the most work on.
Yeah. And I like what I wrote here at the top. If you do not treat yourself kindly, how can you expect anyone else to? Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do not truly value what you do, how can you expect other people to?
Well, and if you're constantly not treating yourself kindly and you are tearing yourself down, you are not only hurting yourself, you're attracting more of the same from others.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
So in this part of the system, we really dive deep into the internal scripts that are getting in the way of you really tapping into your innate self-worth. Because I believe there's a spark of beauty and gem or uniqueness within all of us, and we just have to tap into it. And as I've learned more about computer programming, I've realized that some of us just have really terrible apps running in our mind. And it can be a matter of, wow, I didn't know that app existed because it was installed when I was young. So it's been running in the background. I wasn't aware of it. So diving deep into this section helps you become aware of the programming or the script. And then you can either delete it fully, or you can go in there and rewrite some of the script. So instead of I am a failure, it's I have not yet succeeded. Right? I'm not good as a healer. I shouldn't have my own business. Or people just need to have more time getting used to what I provide. Instead of telling them what I do, let me give them an experience that they don't even question how it's done. They just know the result. And the fifth pillar is stretching your comfort zone. And this one is key. So there in the middle is your comfort zone, where you are at currently in your life. And Rhonda, could you read out some of the things that are in that middle one?
Yes, that same old, no risk, playing it safe, just getting by. That's a bummer.
The comfort zone is, I'm not good at business. The comfort zone is, I hate sales. The comfort zone is, marketing is terrible. Right? These internal scripts, because they're part of our wiring at the moment, it feels comfortable to endorse those behaviors within ourselves.
Right.
And a lot of healers, when I ask them why are they a healer or what do they want to do, they say, I want to impact the world. I want to change the world. I want to help people heal.
I want to live in abundance. I want to have fun.
Yeah. And those things exist outside your comfort zone. Otherwise, you would have them right now.
Yep.
Right? So could you read out what are some of the ones on the outside?
Sure. More money, improved relationships, abundance. I want to have the best day ever.
Yeah. Nice. So let's do a quick little visualization. Have everyone sit up tall, close your eyes, and visualize you're in your little sanctuary, and it can take whatever shape you want. And in this sanctuary, you're surrounded by a sphere or a globe, and that's your comfort zone. And just outside your comfort zone, there are 10, 100, thousands of individuals who are in pain. They're praying to whatever deity they pray to, God, the universe, spirit. They're praying that they find somebody that can help them heal. And they have their own little comfort zone, right? And you can see them, and they're just outside your comfort zone, but they can't see you because the little shield is just one way. And you stand on your side of the comfort zone and you try and yell through the little shield and say, I can help you, I can help you. But come into my comfort zone. You need to come to me. It doesn't work that way. The way you help those individuals is you push through your own self-doubt. You push through your own self-judgment. You adjust your expectations accordingly that people aren't just going to walk into your comfort zone.
Aw, Corinne says it makes her cry. Is that because you know that there are so many people out there waiting for you? Yeah. Yeah, it is. You know, when you think about you really have to get over yourself in order to serve the world. You know, and to do as you say here, to get your to not allow your gifts and talents and the things you have to share go to the graveyard, you know, with you. So it's this is important work is what I'm saying here, you know.
Yeah, I
for all of
agree.
us. Mm-hmm.
And when Prince passed away, they found like archives of his music that he didn't publish because he was
Wow.
so scared that people would reject it,
Isn't that
right?
interesting?
And he was Prince, right?
Wow.
Um, so once I like invoke this metaphor as well, it gives me the encouragement, the motivation, the purpose. Again, that's why we start with the purpose of all this,
Mm-hmm.
to push through my own discomfort of, oh my gosh, I don't have the skills to do this thing, or I don't have the experience to do this thing. However, by developing them, my sphere stretches just a little bit more, right? So maybe that opens it up to one person, and that gives me encouragement to then stretch a little bit more. So the little orange gold sphere actually starts to expand to encompass those other things. And more people come to me or come to you to then be healed and tap into their own purpose. So that's why it's important to stretch your comfort zone and be around people that support you in that stretch. Because there's nothing worse than trying to do something new and there's not the foundation of support. And that's why the 4 pillars before are important, because you need to have the anchor of your purpose, you need to have persistency and consistency, and you need to tap into your self-worth to really be in the right place to stretch your comfort zone. Hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, 6th pillar, celebrate your wins. So
Yay,
all of that is pointless if you don't pause and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And now that I'm new to strengths, maybe this is my maximizer, maybe it's my competition, maybe it's my significance, but for the longest time, I would achieve, and treat it like it's nothing. Like, I'm double honors, get all these accolades, and it's nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, why would my inner child continue to express itself and give voice to what I really, really want if it's not even acknowledged or celebrated for all the hard work it's done?
Mm-hmm. Yes, some of us skip right past that little awesome thing that we just did to move on to the next one.
Yeah, I climbed that, I don't know, 10-story staircase, no time flat, whatever.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
So to
Well,
help,
Tina says she needs to magnify the small wins that she's able to do as you stretch. Yes, that's important.
yes,
And you have to be conscious and aware of these things. They have to be intentional because, like, I keep bringing up my maximizer because nothing's good enough,
yeah,
and so why would I celebrate that little thing because I didn't hit the big thing? Competition would have the same issue.
yeah,
So would other significance. It's not big enough,
mm-hmm,
and we all get to live with that little kernel of dissatisfaction. The question is, what do you do with it?
yeah,
You have to learn how to engage with that. Yes, a jar of little wins, Corinne says. Yeah, you have to learn how to celebrate it now and start to celebrate the little things. Mm-hmm.
yep, exactly. And that's what this is here. This is my jar of awesome. So
Yes.
it's a mason jar, and as you can see, I put some amazing artwork on it. And the way it works is I went to Staples and I bought like business cards, like the blank ones that you can print yourself. So I just have this stack of blank business cards. And when I have a small win, a little win, or a medium win, or a big win, I write on that. So for today I gave a successful webinar with Rhonda to the SOAR community and other alternative wellness healers. Write it on there, put the date on there. I sit with it for a moment, really taste that win, and then I put it in the jar. Okay? And I do this over and over and over. And it's a practice. I consistently do this, right?
Good.
Now, on those days when I haven't gotten any win, or when I failed or I made a mistake, whatever it might be, I pull out the stack of cards and I read through them, right? So Rhonda, you said as a maximizer, it's like, I want the big thing. And all these little things help you see all the little steps that you took to get to that big thing. So again, the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't make it to the top in one step, but I took every single little step one at a time. And along the way, I met Jim, and I met Jane, and I met Susan, and I helped Tom. And all these things help you enjoy the top so much more because you're not there alone.
Yeah.
So that's why this is important. So in review, the 6 pillars are purpose of confidence, so tapping into your big why, consistency and persistence, it's not personal, abundant self-worth, stretching your comfort zone, and the art of celebration.
Amazing.
So any questions?
We have been using the chat box, and I think everybody is seeing lots of ahas for themselves, confirmations, and so forth. So, yeah, very good.
Cool.
Very nice.
And I would love to, again, since of my vision, I'm not able to read the chat in real time. So if you would like to help me with my significance is about knowing that what I do is important and it had an impact, you can let me know on Facebook. There's my messenger handle, m.me/osro.hepworth. And you can let me know how significant it was for you.
Well, significant. And you're also at soar.com/Osro Hepworth, correct?
Yeah.
So, yes, I am, you know, what makes me so happy about that is that you asked for that. And that's what we have to get to do. We have to ask for those things that we need.
Yep.
And I think that's a beautiful way that you did that, Oz, is that you just said, if you want to help my significance. And it's true. You called it out for exactly what it is. So that's amazing. And I do want to encourage everyone, please, to go. What was the other one?
m.me/Osro.Hepworth.
Osro.
So let me go back to this slide.
Yeah. So you guys can reach out. That would be amazing if you would reach out or post a note on his Facebook page or something to say hello and that you appreciate the time. And also, I understand that you have a training too, that you go deeper. You have a program or something. So I think if people are interested in that, they should reach out and ask about that.
So if it's okay, I have this what's next. So
perfect.
Essentially what's next is how to avoid all these things. Because as you said, Rhonda, this would be like a mini course. And now it's like, what do you do afterwards?
Right.
So
great information. If you want to learn how to apply it, then heads up here.
Yeah. So if you'd like me to help you dive into all those things, definitely reach out to me, because it's not just about succeeding in your practice. It's about thriving, right? In your relationship and your connection with yourself, in your community, and stretching your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And to give people an idea of the type of individuals I work with, do you mind reading this one, Rhonda, if you can see it?
Nope. This is from Bianca, and she says that you helped her feel relaxed and that each session feels hyper-focused and structured even when you're going with the flow. And the attention and voice you give to all aspects of her make her feel heard and understood. And even when the sessions go deep, there's an element of fun. You use analogies, metaphors, paradigm shifting to the point that her mind is blown up.
Nice.
Way to go. Yeah.
Thanks, Bianca. So Bianca would be one of these individuals that uses really newer ways of healing, like with angels and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So helping her communicate her message in a way that resonates with individuals was an important part of her work.
Got it.
And again, if you want these things, a relationship, self-worth, learning how to celebrate your wins, accomplishing things, it's important to work with a coach. And that's why I have Yoda and Luke here on the right. So if you're familiar, Yoda tells Luke to lift this jet or an X-wing out of the water, and Luke says, I can't do it. And Yoda says, try or don't try. There is no, or sorry, do or don't do. There is no try.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where another false expectation comes in. Luke had an expectation that he could not do it. Right? And Yoda comes in and says, I'm fourth your size and I can do it. So it's possible.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have expectations that it's not possible. Right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's where having support can help.
Yep.
And trust me, I've been there. I've been through all the ups and downs, and I would love to work with individuals. And what I would like to offer is, with the program, I realized coming to strengths now that my number five strength is individualization. So instead of doing like a group course like I was doing, I really want to focus in and work with individuals that are really ready to go to the next level of their success, because that plays to my talent of individualization. Mm-hmm. You can really customize it for that person around the 6-pillar system. And the way individuals can ask is send me a message and we'll set up a powerful coaching session. And I want to gift it to everyone that's on this webinar, and all they would have to say is like SOAR webinar, so that I know where they're coming from.
Wow. Okay. So that's what you're offering, is just a strategy session, or just a deep dive
call
for
it
a minute?
A powerful coaching session. And during that session, we really dive deep into the purpose of what it is they're doing and why they want it. And in those sessions, I am not your friend, right? I'm not there to be your friend. I'm there to say things that other people might not say to you. I'm there to give a fresh perspective. Again, with the coffee cup analogy, you're giving me this perspective and I'm over here and I say, well, have you looked at it from this point of view? And that might be scary for some people. That might be painful for some people. And I share that because when I've done these sessions, there is a bit of upset or emotions that come up, because it's about being honest and about being bold. And it's also beautiful because people are tapping into what they really want. Like a woman I worked with the other day, we did one of these powerful sessions, and she realized that she sabotages her own success so that she can help her parents stay happy. Now, we uncovered that, and she realized that when she fails, she has to go back home to her parents, which makes them feel happy. So in her mind, she equated, I need to fail and sabotage my success so that my parents can be happy. And that revelation came about through like really getting candid with her, and her being candid and honest with herself, and like, wow, that's why I sabotage myself. And now from that, we can work together and create new scripts. So.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right. So I sent everybody to your SOAR. If y'all are interested in taking him up on a private, powerful coaching session, I would definitely say tap into that and just go. If you go through his SOAR.com web link, then you will know, he'll know it came from here. You just mentioned that you watched the webinar. Yeah, what a blessing. What a gift, Oz. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Yeah. So let's
was this helpful for everyone? How about you, Rhonda?
Yes, I thought it was amazing.
Cool.
You've given us a lot to think about. And, you know, I think that a lot of us, I mean, I'm a coach. And so guess what coaches do best? We coach.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so there's a lot of things that we have to do in our business that puts us in the same thing. You know, even though I'm not technically a holistic alternative health healer, it doesn't, you know, mean that these issues are not outside of what I have to deal with myself. So I see it clearly. And I think what you are bringing is very valuable. So thank you so much for sharing. If you guys have any more questions for Oz, you can share them now, or you can send him a note. And so I would encourage you to do that. And you want to unshare your screen real quick so
Yes.
I can close us out. Are you?
Yep.
Yep. Good. Thank you. Wow, Oz, I just have to say, I am so grateful for all of your sharing and your the blessing, of coming and sharing with us, and your transparency about the things that you have dealt with and still do, considering that you are legally blind. Who would ever know that, right? Nobody would know that unless you told us. And so thank you very much for sharing. We're just grateful for you to come by and touch base with us on all this great information. I can see why you're an amazing coach.
Oh, thank you.
For people in this arena. So we will put this out in the replay, and I'll send it out within the next probably about 36 hours. So you'll be able to watch it again if you're interested, and we'll send it out. I know we had a lot of people register that couldn't actually make the training and they wanted the recording. So I'll be sending that out over the next little bit. So can it be shared? Once you get the link, Corinne, yes, then share it. I'm not going to share it out because probably we will repeat this at some point in the future. And so, we'll want to invite new people and so forth. So, yeah. But when you get the replay, yes, feel free to share it within your own circle. Yeah.
And on that note, the feedback is helpful because it helps me improve the presentation.
That's
and
right.
It helps refine the process. Again, developing the skills and the experience.
Yes.
So living what I'm trying to encourage others to do.
Well, and I love that about you, that you're actually living it as you're just bringing the people with you, with that individualization. So what a gift. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Oz, and people know where to find you. Do reach out to Oz through his soar.com. His link, and then he is very happy to gift you with a session. So go take advantage of that. Yeah. So with that, everybody, we will let you go. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Be sure to look at the events.soar.com page to see what other events. We have a lot of them coming up over the next several weeks. So can't wait to see you guys later. Appreciate you so much. Bye-bye.